Welcome to another session of Statistics and Probability. This is your teacher, John Len S. Almario. Today we will be discussing finding the mean and the variance of the sampling distribution of means. After going through this lesson, you are expected to find the mean and variance of the sampling distribution of the sample means and state and explain the central limit theorem. Now, let us recall our previous lesson. What are the 5 steps on getting the sampling distribution of the sample means? So first, we get the combination of the sample means. Next, we solve for the individual means. Next, we get the frequency of the means. We solve for the individual probability of the means. Then last, we create the histogram. So now, ang objective natin is to find the mean and the variance of the sampling distribution. So, consider this. Consider a population consisting of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Suppose samples are of size 2 are drawn from this population. What is the mean and the variance of the sampling distribution of the sample means? Let us compare the values to the mean and variance of the population. Draw the histogram of the sampling distribution of the sample means. So, sige. Take note ha, magkaiba yung variance and standard deviation ng sampling mean at yung data na to, ng population data. Okay? So, paano natin isa-solve to? So, step 1, let us compute for the mean of the population. So, paano ba tayo mag-compute ng mean? We get the average by using the formula mu is equal to summation of x over n. So, ang x natin are the data 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 divided by 5. Bakit 5? Kasi 5 yung samples natin. We get 15 over 5 and our mean is equals to 3. Nakuha ba? Okay, good. Next, we compute for the variance of the population. Paano ba tayo mag-compute ng variance ng population? So first, we create a table. We subtract the mean from the individual population or from the individual elements. So, ayan, 1 minus 3, negative 2, 2 minus 3, negative 1, 3 minus 3, 0, 4 minus 3, 1, then 5 minus 3, 2. Very good. Ang next step, we square the results that we have obtained from this column. So, negative 2 squared is 4, negative 1 squared, 1, 0 squared is 0, 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. Nasundan? Okay, good. The next step is we add the results that we have obtained in this column. So, add lang natin yan. 4 plus 1, 5 plus 6. 4 plus 1, 5 plus 1, 6 plus 4 is equals to 10. Very good. Now, once na ma-add na natin yung results dito, pwede na nating makuha yung population variance by using this formula. Summation of quantity x, the square of x minus the mean over n. So, ano ba tong summation na to? Ito yon, yung 10. So, i-divide lang natin saan? Sa total number of population, which is equal to 5. Very good. So, ang variance natin ay 10 divided by 5 is equals to 2. Very good. Now, next, we determine the number of possible samples or combinations of size 2. So, paano natin malalaman ito? By using the combination formula. Where our n or big N, the population is 5 and our number of samples is 2. So, 5 combination 2. By computing, we get what? We get 10. Very good. Next, we get the combinations. Okay. So, ano-ano yung mga combination? Ayan, yung mga combinations 10 daw. So, we have 10, 1, 2, 1, 3, 1, 4, 1, 5, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, 3, 4, 3, 5, and 4, 5. Next, we get the sample mean. So, i-divide natin it per data or per sample, i-divide natin sa 2. Any sample mean, we get 1.5. Dito naman, 2. The next, 2.5. the next, 3, the next, 2.5, 3, 3.5, 3.5, 4, and 4.5. Nasusundan ba? Okay, good. Next, once na map out ko na yung mga sample mean, we should construct the sampling distribution of the sample mean. So I'm gonna get the frequency of each. So from our previous table, ilang 1.5? We have 1. Ang 2 natin ay isa rin. 2.5 ay dalawa. We have dalawang 3, dalawang 3.5, isang 4 at isang 4.5. So all in all, iyan ay 10. Next, we compute the probability. So etong frequency divided by the total number of sample means, which is 10. So 1 divided by 10, 1 over 10. Since lahat ng 1 ay 1 over 10, pwedeng i-copy ko na lang. Then we have for 2. 2 divided by 10 is 2 over 10. At dapat ang total nito ay 1. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Next, we compute the mean of the sampling distribution of the sample mean. So, paano kukompute daw natin yung mean ng sampling distribution? And to do that, again, we multiply the sample mean by its corresponding probability. Ayan. So again, yung probability natin rito, na-compute na natin kanina, i-multiply lang natin with the sample mean. So, 1.5 times 1 over 10, ilan? Ayan, 0.15. 2 times 1 over 10, 0.2. 2.5 times 2 over 10, 0.5. 3 times 2 over 10, 0.6. 3.5 times 2 over 10, 0.7. 4 times 1 over 10, 0.4. 4.5 times 1 over 10 is 0.45. Ayan. So, nasusundan ba? Again, multiply lang to ha. Next. Pag inad natin yan, anong lalabas? Lalabas yan ay 3. Kuha ba? So, ibig sabihin, ito yung ating mean ng sampling distribution. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Next, we compute the variance of the sampling distribution of the sample mean. So, paano natin kukumputin yung variance? So, again, from the table with the probability and the sample mean, we subtract the mean from the samples. We subtract the sampling mean from the sample mean. Magkaiba yun na sampling mean at sample mean. Okay? Ayan. Label this as x minus mean. Okay. So, 1.5 minus 3, negative 1.5. 2 minus 3 is negative 1. 2.5 minus 3, negative 0.5. 3 minus 3, 0. 3.5 minus 3 is equals to 0.5. 4 minus 3 is equals to 1. Then 4.5 minus 3 is equals to 1.5. Nasusundan ba? Okay, good. Next, we square the difference. Label this as x bar minus mean squared. So, katulad ng conventional na pagko-compute natin sa variance, i-square lang natin yung nakuha natin dito sa column na to. By doing so, 1.5 times negative 1.5 squared, 2.25. Negative 1 squared is 1. 0.5 squared is 0.25. 0 squared, 0.5 is 0.25. 0.5 squared is 0.25. 1 squared is 1. 1.5 squared is 2.25. Ayan, nakuha ba? Okay, good. Next. Again, we create another column. We multiply the results that we have from the corresponding frequency. Ayan. So, sige, multiply natin. 2.25 times 1 over 10, 0.225. 1 times 1 over 10, 0.1. 0.25 times 1 over 5 is 0.05. 0 times 1 over 5 is 0. 0.25 times 1 over 5 is 0.05, sorry. 1 times 1 over 10 is equals to 0.1. Then 2.25 times 1 over 10 is equals to 0.225. So ang next step para makuha ko yung variance ay i-add ko na lang yung results dito. So pag in-add ko yan, sige nga, kuha kayo ng calculator, add nyo. Or mental, anong makukuha nyo? Ang makukuha natin dapat dito ay very good. 0.750. At yung 0.750 na yan, iyan ang ating sampling variance. Ayan. Next, once na makuha na natin yung sampling variance, we just get the square root of the sampling variance to get the sampling standard deviation. So, kuha lang natin yung square root niyan. So, equal to sa 0.8660. Ayan. Yan ang ating sampling standard deviation. Now, let's create the histogram. So, base dun sa ating table kanina, yan yung ating histogram. Again, dito sa part na to, yung sa x-axis, yung probability, then yung sample means natin ay sa x-axis. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Again, y-axis is the probability, x-axis yung sample means. Ayan. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Now, checking the results that we have obtained, doon sa nauna, sa population natin, ang mean natin ay 3, ang population variance natin ay 2, by getting the square root of 2, we will obtain a standard deviation of 1.41. Ayan, very good. Now, for the sampling mean, we have 3. For the sampling variance, 0.75. And for the sampling standard deviation, we get 0.87. Medyo matagal pa lang mag-compute. Yes, that is correct. But this is with the conventional method. However, is there a shorter method, sir? Yes naman, of course. Since this is the 21st century, maraming mas maganda kung gagamitin natin yung formula na ito. For the variance, for the sampling variance, we can get it by computing the population variance, dividing it by the samples, number of samples, then multiplying it with this, n minus n over n minus 1. That is for computing the variance of the sampling distribution of the sample means. And for the square root, pwedeng yung gamitin ito or pwede rin namang square root nyo na lang. Kasi if you apply the law of exponents, you can just get the square root of the sampling variance to get the sampling standard deviation. Okay? So, yung n na yan, ito yung the big letter n, this is for the number of elements in the population. The small letter n is for the number of samples. Kuha? Okay, good. Now, let us add some definition of terms. Finite population is one that consists of a fixed number of elements, measurements, or observations. So, ito may definite na bilang. Infinite population contains hypothetically at least infinite number of elements. So, ito, hindi alam kung yung number of populations, pero mas marami. Hindi natin alam. Okay? Pero alam natin, napakarami na hindi mabilang. Okay? This is next, the finite population correction factor is expressed by the notation square root of n minus n over n minus 1. So, para saan ba to? Kung maalala nyo yung pagkuha ng sampling variance or sampling standard deviation, eto yun. Ginagamit ito for sampling distribution only. Okay? Good. Standard error of the mean, it measures the degree of accuracy of the sample mean as an estimate of the population mean. Also known as the standard deviation of the sample mean. So, yung palang standard error of the mean, yun pala yung sampling distribution. Ay, yun pala yung standard deviation ng sampling distribution. Next, central limit theorem. If random samples of size n are drawn from a population, then as n becomes larger, the sampling distribution of the mean approaches normal distribution. Habang papalaki raw yung population, yung distribution daw ay nagiging normal. So again, this is the central limit theorem. Kuha? Okay, good. Now, some examples. Let us find the finite population correction factor given the following. So we have the total again for the first one, the total population is 200. We got 10 samples. So paano natin kukumpitin yung finite population correction factor. We apply the formula. FPC is equals to square root of quantity n minus n over n minus 1. So, yung total population, ilan? 200. Then, yung ating sample ay 10. So, compute mo na natin. 200 minus 10, 190. Then, 200 minus 1, 199. So, the square root of 190 over 199. Pag kinompute ko yan sa calculator, ang lalabas dapat ay, we need 4 decimal places. The answer is 0.9771. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Next. Again, for the second one, ang total population ay 2,000. Ang samples ay 600. So again, substituting on the formula, 2,000 minus 600 over 2,000 minus 1. 2,000 minus 600 is 1,400. 2,000 minus 1, 1,999. Get the quotient, then get a square root. We will be able to obtain. Very good. 0.8369. Kuha? Okay, good. Next. For the third one, ang total population ay 400. Ang samples ay 120. By substituting the variables, 400 minus 120 is 280. 400 minus 1 is 399. Get the quotient and the square root. We get the answer of 0.8377. Nasusundan ba? Dali lang, di ba? Okay, good. Next. Let us have a recap for the properties of the sampling distribution of the sample means. So, the mean of the sampling distribution of the sample means is equal to the population mean. So, lagi niyo tatandaan, kapag yung sampling distribution na sample mean ay equal lang sa population mean. So, kapag nakuha niyo na yung population mean, ibig sabihin, yun din yung sampling mean. Okay? Next. The variance of the sampling distribution of the sample means is given by, ito yung formula niya, this is for a finite population kapag nabibilang mo yung population. Pero kapag hindi mo nabibilang yung population at the samples were obtained from an infinite population, ito yung gagamitin nating formula. Kaya it's always a precaution to read the problem first. Baka kasi mamaya, infinite yung population. Hindi naman pala kayo dapat maghanap ng number ng population. Ayan. Kuha ba? Okay, good. Next. For the standard deviation of the sampling distribution of the sample means is given by this one. So again, kapag nakuha nyo na yung sampling variance, kunin nyo na lang yung square root. Okay? Para ma-obtain nyo yung sampling standard deviation. Again, for infinite population, then for finite population, then again for finite population and infinite population. Ayan, very good. So sige, practice tayo.
Get ready for the next battle.
Okay. So sige, consider a population consisting of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Suppose samples of size 2 are drawn from this population. Compute the mean, variance, and sampling standard deviation. Ayan. So, sige, ngayon, ang gagamitin nyo naman is yung mga formula natin. Okay? So, I trust you guys. Kayang-kaya nyo computein. Good luck.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, sige. Ngayon, check na natin kung tama yung sagot natin. So, anong unang step? For the first step, what do? We need to get the mean of the population. So, we just add the population and divide it with the number of elements. That is 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 divided by 5. So, by doing so, we get 3. Okay, good. That is our mean. Next, we compute for the variance and the standard deviation. Take note, this is the population, variance, and standard deviation. So, I create a table, then I subtract the mean from the individual elements. So, isusubtract ko yung 3 from the elements, iyan ang makukuha natin. Next, again, we square the results that we have obtained in this column. So, i-square lang natin yan, then we add the results, which is 10. Then, we divide this result to the number of population, which is 5. Therefore, our variance or our population variance is equals to 2. And to get the population standard deviation, we simply get the square root of the population variance, which is equal to 1.4142. So, nakuha na kagad natin yung step 1 and 2. The mean, the variance, the mean, the population variance, and the population standard deviation. Next, we now solve for the sampling variance. Paano natin solve yung sampling variance? Ito yung mga nakuha natin kanina. Ito yung given, n is equals to 5. So, by applying the formula, again, ang number of samples natin ay 2. We use the sampling variance formula. Meron na tayong population variance, meron na tayong number of samples, meron na tayong number of population. So, all we have to do is to substitute the values. 2 divided by 2, so technically, cancel na to. May 1 lang siya. 5 minus 2 is 3. 5 minus 1 is 4. So, ang aking answer ay 3 over 4 or equal to 0.75, which is the same as earlier. So, nakita nyo, wala na tayong ginawang table, diretso na kagad. Okay? Very good. Next. Now, how do we solve for the sampling standard deviation? We simply extract the square root. Sir, di ba may mahaba tayong formula kanina? Ginagamit natin yun kapag specific yung specific na standard deviation na kagad yung kukunin natin. Pero mas safe kung dito muna. Kasi bakit? Kasi mas gamitin natin ito. Kasi when you apply the law of exponents, it's just simply the same. Okay? Kung kinuha mo yung square root nito, magiging standard deviation lang yan. So, kahit itong population standard deviation, gagamitin mo lang din, mahihirapan ka lang din. Bakit? Kasi, magiging long method pa yung gagawin mo. So, to get this way simpler, pagkakuha mo ng sampling variance, square root mo na kagad. Sampling standard deviation na yun. Sure ball yun. Okay? Very good. So, again, looking back, 0.75 square root is equals to 0.8660. So, yan na yung sagot. Ganun lang yun, sir. Yes, 4 simple steps, diba? Unlike dun sa kanina, gumawa pa tayo ng table, pagkahaba-haba. Ito, mas madali. Okay? Okay, just don't forget, huwag niyong pagpapalitin yung population at yung sample. Kuha ba? Okay, very good. Thanks for watching my video lesson. Again, this is John Lina Salmario saying, remember, trust the process. Bye guys. See you soon.